Once again, we will be using Virtual Paragon for scheduling our parent-teacher conferences. Parents may access Virtual Paragon 24 hours a day, 7 days a week during the registration period. Registration opens November 1st at 8 a.m. and will remain open until 8 p.m. on the night before the first conference date. At that time, it will close for 24 hours and then reopen for the second conference night. The portal will close completely at 8 a.m. on the day of the second conference night. As always, if you do not sign up online, you can always register in person on the night of the conferences by going to the cafeteria between 6 and 6:20 p.m. This tutorial has been created to show you how to create reservations for your child's teachers. Let's get started.
The first place you're going to want to go is the Monroe Public Schools website at www.monroeps.org. Once there, you're going to navigate to Masuk High School under the Our Schools tab. And once you're in Masuk High School, you're going to go to the Parent Citizens tab. The first tab down will be Parent Conference Registration. That will take you directly to the Virtual Paragon website. You're going to put in Masuk's master password, which is Panthers, and that's all lowercase. Click to enter, and once you're in, you can do one of two things. The first option is just to go ahead and directly log in. I would recommend that for any parents or guardians who remember their remember your username and password from last year. If you don't remember it, that's fine as well. You can create a new username just by clicking the Create New Username. I'm gonna do that right now for everybody. So once you're in here, you're just going to walk through the information that it asks for you. Obviously, anything in red is required. So I'm going to put in my first name, my last name. It asks for an email address. I'm going to use a fictitious email address for the purposes of this video. And you're going to put your student's name, and then once again, I'm going to use a fake name for this. If you have more than one child, you can hit the Add More button as well and add additional children. As you can see, the system has automatically generated a username for me. Because I have created a username last year and it's the same one, I'm just going to add the year to it for this one. If you created one in the past and you forget what the username was, again, you can just add the year to it to create a new username for this year. Again, if you remember the old one, that's fine. Once I have my username set up, I'm going to put in a new password for myself. Then it's going to ask me for a password hint. In this situation, since I used Monroe as my password, I just gave myself the hint of where I live. Then I'm going to go down and hit the Create My Account button. Once I'm in, as you can tell, I've created a new username, jcobza2015, and now I can go in and log in. For those of you that remembered your username and password, you would have just clicked on the login button at the start, and you would go right here. So here's my username. Then enter your password and log in. Once you're in the system, what you're going to want to move to, there's a number of tabs here, but the tab that's going to be most useful for people is the Make Reservations tab. Once in here, you can choose your child's teachers that you'd like to see for the particular evening. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to want to see Ms. Paterla, Mr. Caruso, and Mr. Collins. Once I've selected the teachers that I'd like to see for the evening, I scroll all the way down to the bottom and I hit Continue. Now, as you'll see, their schedules come up. This is for the first evening of the conferences. If I want to see Ms. Paterla at 6:35, and let's say I want to see Mr. Caruso at 6:35 as well, I'll get a warning message that says I have already requested a conference in this time slot. This is just a system message to let you know that you've scheduled two at the same time, which is fine if you're in a situation where you're maybe going with your spouse and they want to go to one teacher and you want to go to the other. So it will allow you to schedule two at the same time as long as you acknowledge that with an OK. So I want to see Ms. Paterla, I want to see Mr. Caruso, and then at 6:50 I'd like to see Mr. Collins. Now again, I'm setting this up for the first night of conferences. I do want to note before I go any further that if you scroll down, you'll see the second night of conferences is right here. So if I'm scheduling for the second night of conferences, I want to do it below this line. If I'm scheduling for the first night of conferences, I want to do it above. So I've scheduled for those 3 teachers at that night. Once I'm all done, I want to go to the top and say Save and Done. Once here, it gives me a few options. If I made a mistake, I didn't want to have these 2 reservations at the same time, it'll allow me to go in and delete reservations. It'll allow me to download to my calendar, whether it's Android, iPhone, or Outlook. There'll be directions there. I'm not going to do that for now because basically what you want to know is you want to have a schedule of the evening when you go for conferences. And you would get that schedule by clicking on the print button right here. And once again, I'm not going to go ahead and print that button, but that will give you just a list of the schedule for that evening. So that concludes this tutorial. I do want to remind everyone, if they have any problems with Virtual Paragon and setting up conferences for Parent-Teacher Conference Night, to please email our instructional leader in World Language, Miss Lisa Peterson, at lpeterson@monroeps.org. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone at Parent-Teacher Conferences.